Some betrayals creep in like whispers. So quiet, so subtle, you don't realize you're being destroyed until there's nothing left to save. That night, everything felt normal. Rachel was in the shower, steam curling from the bathroom door, her soft hum blending with the sound of running water. I sat on the bed, scrolling through my phone. Another mindless night, another routine. I could hear the faint sound of her voice, singing some song she always hums when she's relaxed. Familiar, comforting. But in just a few moments, everything I knew about my life would change. Her phone buzzed. Once. Twice. A third time. Urgent. I glanced at it, not really meaning to look, just instinct. And then I saw the name. A single notification, sitting on the screen like a grenade waiting to detonate. Daniel. I froze. A sudden suffocating tightness wrapped around my chest, my stomach twisting into something dark and instinctive. Daniel. Her ex-husband. My fingers clenched around the phone before I even realized I had picked it up. A mistake. A coincidence. A stupid misunderstanding. That's what I told myself. But then I saw the message preview, and the air was ripped from my lungs. Daniel, can't wait to see you again. Last night was incredible. My heart stopped. Everything inside me froze. No, 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 no. What the hell does that mean? I swallowed hard, my pulse hammering so violently it hurt. I should stop. I should put the phone down and trust my wife. But my gut was screaming at me. Check. Keep looking. Because if I ignored this, I would regret it for the rest of my life. So I scrolled up. And it got worse. Rachel, I haven't stopped thinking about it. I miss you already. I felt sick. My throat tightened as I kept scrolling, my hands trembling like I had just been hit by a truck. Daniel, you looked so beautiful last night, just like you did on our honeymoon. Honeymoon. The word slammed into me like a bullet. Honeymoon. What the hell does that mean? Rachel and I had been married for 6 months. And she was already sneaking around with her ex-husband. My stomach twisted violently. I gripped her phone tighter, breathing fast, trying to make sense of the nightmare unfolding in front of me. Had she been lying to me this whole time? Was our entire marriage just a cover for her to slide back into his arms? Had I just been convenient? I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. I needed more proof, because once I confronted her, there would be no turning back. The shower turned off. I stiffened. The bathroom door creaked open, steam curling out like a ghostly presence. Rachel walked out, her damp hair clinging to her shoulders, wrapped in nothing but a towel, her skin flushed pink from the heat. "Hey, babe," she hummed, stretching. She looked so normal, so familiar, and I wanted to be sick. I forced a smile, shoving her phone back onto the nightstand like it hadn't just destroyed me. "Hey, how was your shower?" My voice came out too steady, too rehearsed. "Amazing. I needed that. Work has been so stressful," she sighed, stepping closer, placing a hand on my chest. My stomach churned. I fought the urge to flinch. She had just been with him, touched him, kissed him. "How was your night?" she asked, tilting her head, her innocent eyes lying to me. I stared at her, at the small droplets of water trailing down her collarbone. Had he kissed her here? Had she moaned for him, like she used to for me? Did she tell him she loved him? I swallowed hard, pushing the thoughts away before they shattered me completely. It was fine, I muttered, stepping back just enough to break her touch. She frowned for half a second before covering it with another smile. Good. I was thinking we could go out for dinner tomorrow, just us. I feel like we need some time together. I almost laughed. Oh? No, you want to spend time with me? Yeah, I said, my voice hollow. That sounds nice. Liar. She beamed, standing on her toes to press a kiss to my cheek. I forced myself not to recoil. I'll go get dressed. She turned, disappearing into the closet. I let out a shaky breath. Everything inside me was screaming. I needed to get out. I needed air. I needed a way to process this without losing my mind. Grabbing my keys and coat, I cleared my throat. I'm gonna run to the store. Be back in a bit. Rachel peeked out of the closet, already pulling on a sweater. She smiled. Okay, drive safe, babe. Babe. She still called me babe. I nodded, walked out, and the second I got into my carry, lost it. My grip on the steering wheel was so tight my hands ached. The texts replayed in my mind like a sick, twisted record. Can't wait to see you again. Last night was incredible. Just like our honeymoon. A sharp exhale left me, my body vibrating with restrained rage. I pulled out my phone and started digging. If she thought she could hide this from me, she was dead wrong. The worst part about betrayal isn't just the act itself. It's the moment you realize you've been blind to it all along. The streetlights blurred past as I drove, my hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I was trying to breathe, trying to think, trying to not lose it. Rachel's phone. That text. Daniel. It all looped in my head like a bad song I couldn't turn off. Last night was incredible. What the hell did that mean? How long had this been going on? Was it really just one night? Or had it been happening for weeks, months, since before we even got married? My stomach twisted. I swallowed hard, my jaw clenching as another realization punched me in the gut. I was at home that night. I remembered it so clearly. She'd come home late, saying she'd gone out for drinks with her girlfriends. She had kissed me when she walked in, smelled of perfume and wine. I hadn't even questioned it. Because I trusted her. I gritted my teeth, forcing myself to take deep breaths. I needed to know everything. And I wasn't just going to sit back and let Rachel gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. I had to find proof. I pulled into a deserted parking lot, the silence in the car loud as hell. My heart was hammering in my chest as I unlocked my phone. I wasn't even thinking anymore, just acting. If she was cheating, there had to be more. Rachel was always careful. She never posted anything suspicious, just pictures of us, smiling, happy, like we had the perfect life. But I wasn't looking for posts. I was looking for patterns, and I found one. Over the last few months, she had barely mentioned me. Every post was about her job, her friends, her own world, but there were gaps. Like on the night Daniel had texted her. No posts, no check-ins, just a black hole of silence. And that silence spoke volumes. Rachel wasn't tech-savvy. She didn't realize Google stored her entire location history. I pulled it up, my fingers shaking as I scrolled. And then I saw it. 3 nights ago, the night she said she was with her friends. Sotel Lux, room 405. I stared at the screen. That was it. That was the proof. My entire body felt numb. A freaking hotel. With him. I felt something inside me snap. I gripped the phone tighter, my breathing sharp. Okay, Rachel, let's see what else you've been hiding. I drove home fast, my mind racing. If she had gone to a hotel with Daniel, there had to be more signs, and I was going to find them. When I got home, the apartment was quiet. Rachel had already gone to bed. I stood in the doorway, watching her sleeping form under the blankets, my chest burning with rage. She looked so innocent, like she hadn't just ripped my heart apart. I turned away and started searching. My fingers moved fast, my breathing shallow as I went through her bag. Lipstick, wallet, receipts, and then a hotel keycard. Hotel Lux. I let out a slow, shaky breath, gripping the plastic card so tight my fingers turned white. You really thought I wouldn't find this, huh? I stepped inside, my eyes scanning for anything out of place. And then I saw it. A dress. A tight black dress she had never worn around me. The tag was still attached, but it was wrinkled, like it had been worn recently. My stomach twisted. Was this what she had worn for him? Did she pick this out just for him? I clenched my fists, trying to keep my breathing steady. I felt sick, but I wasn't done yet. Inside, I found her planner. Rachel was the type to write down everything. I flipped through it fast, my pulse pounding. And then, there it was. A meeting scheduled on the same day she was at the hotel. Except, it wasn't a work meeting. It just said, Dinner D. D. Daniel. The final punch to the gut. Everything clicked. Rachel had been lying to my face. She had gone out of her way to cheat. She had planned it, and she thought she could just hide it from me. I closed the planner, my hands shaking. I had my proof. No more excuses. No more gaslighting. Rachel had been cheating on me with her ex-husband, and she had been doing it behind my back for months. I took a deep breath, my body buzzing with adrenaline. There was only one thing left to do: confront her. I stepped into the bedroom, my fists clenched. Rachel. She stirred, blinking awake. I held up the planner. Want to tell me what Dinner D means? Her eyes snapped open. She saw the notebook, and her face turned white. There are moments in life when time slows down, where every second stretches into eternity, where silence is louder than any scream. This was one of those moments. Rachel's eyes darted from my face to the planner in my hands. She wasn't fully awake yet, but I could see it. That flicker of recognition, that instant split-second panic. She knew exactly what I was talking about. But instead of answering, she did what I had feared most. She lied. "What are you talking about?" she murmured, her voice groggy as she sat up, rubbing her eyes. I tossed the planner onto the bed. "Dinner D," I repeated, my voice tight. "What does that mean, Rachel?" Her lips parted, then pressed into a thin line, and that's when I knew. She wasn't going to tell me the truth. Not willingly. "Oh, come on, babe, it's nothing." She forced a laugh, shaking her head. "Damn means dinner. I was probably meeting up with Danielle, my coworker." She was testing me, trying to see if I would buy it. "You're lying," I said, my voice even. "And we both know it." Rachel blinked, like she hadn't expected me to push back. "Why are you going through my stuff anyway?" she snapped, her voice suddenly sharper, defensive. "Do you even realize how insane you sound right now?" A classic move. Instead of answering, she was flipping it on me, trying to make me the bad guy. But I wasn't falling for it. Not this time. I pulled out my phone, my heart pounding as I opened her location history. I turned the screen toward her. "You weren't with Danielle." Her face froze. "You were at Hotel Lux." The color drained from her face. And that's when it happened. That moment where everything shifted, where Rachel realized she was caught. Not just suspected, caught. She stared at the phone for a moment, too long. Too long. And then, she did the worst possible thing. She laughed. "You actually went through my location history?" She let out a breathy chuckle, shaking her head. "Jesus, you're really doing this?" I didn't say a word. Just watched. Watched as her fingers twisted in the sheets. Watched as her breathing changed. Watched as she tried to regain control of the conversation. "Look, I don't know why it says that," she said, shrugging. "I must have driven past the hotel or something. Maybe the GPS glitched." "A GPS glitch? Really?" "You booked a room, Rachel," I said flatly. "I found the key card in your purse." Silence. Real, bone-deep silence. Her mouth opened, then closed. She had nothing. No excuse. No quick lie to throw at me. Just the truth, hanging between us like a noose. And I wasn't about to let her slip out of it. "Fine," she suddenly snapped, throwing off the blanket. "I went there, but it wasn't what you think." My chest tightened. "Then explain it," I said, my voice calm. Too calm. Rachel hesitated, running a hand through her hair. I just needed space," she said. "I needed time to think, to clear my head. We've been having problems, you know that." "Bullshit." "So you needed space, and instead of staying with a friend, you booked a hotel room?" She nodded too quickly. "And Daniel just happened to be there?" Her jaw tightened. "I ran into him," she muttered. "It was unexpected." I took a deep breath. I was so tired of this game. "Rachel," I saw the texts. Her head snapped up. Her eyes widened. "Gotcha." What texts?" she stammered. "Don't do that," I said, my voice cold. "Don't play dumb. Don't act like you don't know exactly what I'm talking about." She swallowed. Last night was incredible," I quoted, my voice like steel. And that was it. That was the moment she broke. Rachel buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking. I couldn't tell if she was crying or just hiding, but it didn't matter, because I already knew the answer. "I messed up," she whispered finally. "I messed up so bad. I didn't move, didn't speak. It was a mistake," she continued, her voice cracking. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It just happened." I let out a slow, shaky breath. "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. "Too long." "Rachel, how long?" "A few times," she mumbled. "Maybe 4 or 5. My vision blurred. 4 or 5? Not once. Not a single mistake. 4 or 5? I stood up. Rachel's head shot up. "Wait, where are you going?" "I need air," I said, moving toward the door. "No, please, let's talk about this." She scrambled out of bed, reaching for me. I pulled away. "We're past talking, Rachel." Her face crumbled. And for the first time, I saw it. The realization. The moment she understood she had actually lost me. I stepped out into the hallway, my breath unsteady. I wasn't sure where I was going, but I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't stay here. There are moments that change everything, moments where reality shifts, where the ground beneath you crumbles, where nothing will ever be the same again. This was one of those moments. I drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove. The streetlights blurred past me, casting long shadows on the pavement. The hum of the engine filled the silence, but nothing could drown out the storm inside my head. Rachel cheated. Multiple times. She lied, over and over again. And now, I had no idea what to do. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my knuckles turning white. Was I supposed to just forgive her? Pretend this was just a rough patch in our marriage? I thought of her face when I confronted her. The way she crumbled, the way she whispered, it was a mistake. A mistake. I swallowed hard. A mistake happens once. This was a choice. Over and over again. My phone buzzed on the passenger seat. I glanced down. Rachel. Missed call. 5. I exhaled, slow and heavy. Then my phone vibrated again. A text. Please come back. We need to talk. I stared at the message, my pulse hammering in my ears. Did we? Did we need to talk? Or was this just another attempt to manipulate me? Because right now, I didn't know if there was anything left to say. Without thinking, I turned down a familiar street. Ryan's place. Ryan had been my best friend for years. The kind of guy who never sugarcoated things, never gave you the answer you wanted to hear, only the truth. And right now, I needed that more than ever. I pulled into his driveway, killed the engine, and just sat there. Did I even want to talk about this? Did I want to say it out loud? Because once I did, it would be real. I grabbed my phone, scrolling through the texts again. Rachel had sent another. I love you. I made a mistake. Please, let's work through this. My jaw clenched. Then another. Come home. I shut off my phone and stepped out of the car. I wasn't going home. Not tonight. Ryan opened the door in sweatpants, a beer in his hand, eyebrows raised. Dude, it's almost midnight, he said. What's going on? I walked past him, straight to the couch. Rachel cheated. Silence. Then Ryan let out a slow exhale. Shit. He closed the door and sat across from me, setting his beer on the coffee table. You sure? I scoffed. Saw the texts myself. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. How long? At least 4 or 5 times. My voice was flat, dead. Ryan let out a low whistle. Damn. I leaned forward, rubbing my face with both hands. I don't know what to do, man. What do you want to do? Ryan asked. I stared at the floor. I don't know. Did I want to fix things? Walk away? Hell, did I even have the strength to fix this? Ryan took a sip of his beer, watching me closely. Look, man, I'm gonna be real with you. If she did it once, maybe, just maybe, it was a mistake. But this? He shook his head. This wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. And you don't deserve that shit. Before I could respond, my phone rang again. Rachel. I ignored it. Then, another text. I'll do anything. Just please don't leave. I inhaled sharply. Anything. What did that even mean? Ryan leaned forward, peering at my screen. She's panicking. She knows she messed up, and now she's scrambling. So what do? I asked. File for divorce? See if she can prove she's changed? Ryan didn't hesitate. That depends. He set down his beer. Do you actually think you can ever trust her again? I opened my mouth, then closed it, because deep down, I already knew the answer. The next morning, I drove back. Not because I was forgiving her, not because I had made up my mind, but because I needed to look her in the eyes. I needed to see if there was anything left worth saving. As I stepped inside, Rachel was sitting on the couch, her eyes swollen from crying. She jumped up the moment she saw me. "You came back," she whispered. "I need answers," I said. She nodded quickly, stepping closer. "I'll tell you everything. Anything you want to know." I swallowed. "Why him?" She froze. "Why Daniel?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "Was I not enough?" Rachel's lip trembled. "I don't know. I was in a bad place. I felt disconnected, and he was just there." I laughed bitterly. "That's it? He was just there?" "It wasn't about him," she cried. "It was about me. I was struggling, and I made the worst mistake of my life." My stomach twisted. "Do you still love him?" I asked. Her eyes widened. "What? No, never!" I cut him off completely. I stared at her, my heart hammering. Could I believe her? Could I ever believe her again? Rachel reached for my hand. "Please, don't give up on us." I closed my eyes, my mind screaming in every direction. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. No matter what I chose, nothing would ever be the same again. Some choices define us, others, they destroy us, and the worst ones leave us trapped in between. I stood there. The air felt thick, like the walls were closing in. Rachel's fingers twitched at her sides, her eyes searching mine for something. Hope? Forgiveness? I didn't know. I didn't feel like myself anymore. The version of me that walked into this house 6 months ago, the man who loved without question, who trusted without hesitation, was gone. And now, I didn't know what was left of me. Rachel took a shaky breath. "You haven't said anything," she whispered. "Please say something." I blinked, shaking my head. "I don't know what you want me to say, Rachel." She stepped forward, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. She flinched. "I meant it," she said quickly. "Every word. I cut Daniel off. I told him I wanted nothing to do with him. I blocked his number, his social media, everything." I scoffed. "That should have never been a problem in the first place." Her eyes filled with fresh tears. "I know," she whispered. I turned away. Everything about this moment felt wrong. The house we built together, the space we once filled with laughter, with love, it felt haunted now. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. Then, another buzz, and another. Rachel's eyes flickered to my pocket. "Who is that?" I pulled my phone out. "Ryan." Rachel let out a breath of relief. "Oh," I frowned. "Who did you think it was?" She hesitated. And in that moment, I knew. "Rachel, has Daniel tried to contact you?" Her face paled. My stomach twisted. "Rachel?" I repeated, my voice sharp now. "Did he?" She swallowed hard, then nodded. "Last week." I froze. "I didn't respond," she said quickly, stepping forward. "I swear I ignored it." But my hands were already moving, unlocking my phone, opening our shared phone plan account. I needed to see it. Rachel shifted uncomfortably. "Liam, please." Then I saw it. My blood ran cold. She hadn't ignored it. She had answered. "Daniel, I miss you. I can't stop thinking about you. Rachel, please stop texting me. Daniel, I just need to know, do you still love me?" Rachel, I can't do this anymore. You have to move on. Daniel, but do you still think about me? Rachel, read at 10:47 p.m. No reply. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. Rachel took a step back. Liam, you didn't block him. My voice was eerily calm. Her lip trembled. You read his message. Her breathing hitched. Liam, you read it, and you didn't respond. Her silence was deafening. I felt like I was suffocating. Everything inside me screamed to walk away, to get out before she broke me even more than she already had. Liam, please, she whispered. It's over. I told him to move on. You have to believe me. I looked at her, really looked at her. And I realized something. She wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she got caught. She was sorry she lost control of the situation. Sorry that I found out before she could decide whether she wanted me or him. I can't do this, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Rachel's eyes widened. What? I took a step back. I can't trust you, Rachel, and I don't think I ever will again. Tears streamed down her face. You don't mean that. We can fix this. Please. I exhaled slowly, my chest aching in a way I never thought possible. I wish that were true, I said, but it's not. I turned toward the door, gripping the handle. I didn't look back. Liam, don't go. I opened the door, stepped outside, and when I closed it behind me, it felt like I was closing the door on everything we ever had. Some endings feel like freedom, others like a wound that never heals. I stood outside the house, the cold air biting against my skin. The door behind me was shut, closed, but somehow I still felt trapped. Rachel's sobs echoed from inside, muffled by the walls we built together, the same walls that once held love, laughter, trust. Now, they held secrets, lies, and memories I wished I could erase. I exhaled, forcing my feet to move, one step, then another. I should feel lighter, freer. I had walked away. I had made the choice. But if that was true, why did it feel like I had just lost everything? I checked into a hotel that night. The bed was too big. The room was too quiet. And my thoughts, louder than ever. Rachel's face flashed in my mind, her tears, her shaking hands, the way her voice cracked when she begged me to stay. Liam, please, we can fix this. I squeezed my eyes shut. Could we? Could love survive betrayal? Could trust be rebuilt when it had been shattered beyond recognition? I wanted to believe the answer was yes. I wanted to believe in redemption. But every time I tried, the images came rushing back, her sneaking out, dressing up, saying she was going to see her friends when she was really going to him. I clenched my jaw. It wasn't just the affair, it was the deception. The way she looked me in the eye and lied, the way she let me hold her, kiss her, sleep next to her, while knowing she had already given herself to someone else. How do you come back from that? The answer hit me like a freight train. You don't. I must have fallen asleep because the next thing I knew, my phone was buzzing. I groggily reached for it, blinking at the screen. Rachel. My heart pounded. I knew I shouldn't answer. I should let it ring. But my fingers had a mind of their own. Liam, her voice was thick with emotion. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I stayed silent. I can't sleep. I keep thinking about you, about us. I don't know how to. Rachel, my voice was sharper than I intended. What do you want? She sniffled. I want you to come home. I want to fix this. Fix it? I let out a bitter laugh. Rachel, this isn't something you just fix. You tore our marriage apart. You made a choice, and now you have to live with it. She inhaled sharply. Silence. I sighed, rubbing my temple. Rachel, do you even know why you cheated? Or are you just trying to clean up the mess you made? She hesitated. And that was all the answer I needed. The days blurred together after that. I went to work. I went through the motions. Rachel sent messages. She left voicemails. But I didn't respond. I told myself it was for the best, that I needed space, that I needed time. But deep down, I knew the truth. Time wouldn't fix this. Space wouldn't heal it. Nothing would. Then one night, Ryan came over. He handed me a beer, sat across from me, and stared. You look like hell, he finally said. I smirked. I feel like hell. He leaned forward. So, what's next? Are you really done? I opened my mouth. Closed it. Ryan sighed. Liam, this thing with Rachel, it's eating you alive. You need to make a decision. Either go back or walk away for good. Because living in this limbo, it's killing you. I swallowed hard. He was right. I couldn't keep doing this. I needed to choose. That night, I wrote Rachel a letter. Not a text, not a call. A letter. Because some things deserve to be said on paper. Rachel, you once told me I got complacent, that I didn't contribute to your life. Maybe you were right. Maybe I did take things for granted. Maybe I could have been better. But so could you. I spent months wondering if I wasn't enough for you, if I could have done something different, if I could have stopped you from choosing him. But the truth is, I can't take responsibility for your choice. You made a decision, Rachel, and so now I'm making mine. I deserve better. I'm letting you go. Goodbye, Liam. I dropped the letter in her mailbox the next morning. No calls, no texts, no long, drawn-out conversations. Just closure. And as I walked away, for the first time in years, I felt free. Freedom isn't always peace. Sometimes it's just the absence of chains. The letter was sent. The decision was made. For the first time in months, I could breathe. Or at least I thought I could. The first few days after leaving that envelope in Rachel's mailbox felt surreal. Like I was floating through life, watching everything happen from the outside. I went to work. I came home. I told myself this was what moving on was supposed to feel like. But there was one thing I wasn't prepared for. The silence. Rachel didn't respond right away. She didn't call. She didn't text. At first, I thought she was giving me space. Then I realized she was waiting. Waiting for me to break. Waiting for me to come back. But I didn't. I refused. Every night, I stared at my phone. Not once did I reach for it. But that didn't mean I didn't feel it. The ache, the emptiness, the part of me that still loved her. I told myself this was normal. That healing meant feeling the pain before it faded. But deep down, a question kept whispering in my mind. Did I really let her go? 5 days after I sent the letter, I came home to find an envelope slipped under my door. My breath hitched. Rachel. I hesitated before picking it up, my fingers trembling. It was thick, multiple pages. I told myself not to open it, not to give in. But I did. Liam, I read your letter more times than I can count. I held it in my hands for hours, trying to find the words to say back. And for the first time in my life, I was speechless. You're right. I made a choice, and I have to live with it. But Liam, so do you. You can convince yourself that leaving is what you need, that cutting me off is the answer. But tell me something, are you truly happy? Are you at peace? Or are you just running from the pain? I know I hurt you. I will never take that back. But don't lie to yourself. Don't pretend like what we had doesn't still live inside you. Because I know it does. And I know you're not done with me yet. Rachel. I stared at the letter. Reread it. Again and again. My heart pounded. My mind raced. She was wrong, wasn't she? I had made my choice. I had walked away. But that damn letter, it burrowed under my skin, made me question everything. Was I happy? Number. Was I at peace? Not even close. I clenched my jaw. She knew that. She knew me too well. That night, I went to a bar. I didn't even know why. Maybe I needed noise. Maybe I needed distraction. Or maybe I was just tired of being alone. I ordered a whiskey. Neat. As I took the first sip, I heard a voice, familiar. Didn't think I'd see you here. I turned. And there he was. Derek. Rachel's ex. Of all the bars. Of all the nights. It had to be him. Derek smirked, sliding onto the stool next to me. Been a while, hasn't it? I tightened my grip around my glass. Not long enough. He chuckled, shaking his head. Relax, man. No hard feelings. We both know Rachel's a complicated woman. I exhaled sharply. You don't know a damn thing about her. His smirk deepened, mocking. Don't I? Because from where I'm sitting, looks like you're still drinking alone. something snapped. Before I even realized it, I was on my feet. Derek barely had time to react before I grabbed his collar, yanking him forward. The bar fell silent. "You think this is a joke?" My voice was low. Dangerous. Derek swallowed hard, his smirk faltering for the first time. "Chill, man. I didn't mean." "You meant every damn word." I released him, shoving him back. "Stay the hell away from me, and stay the hell away from her." I turned and walked out, but my hands were still shaking, and my mind still screaming. I got back to my apartment and stared at the letter Rachel had sent me. Was she right? Was I still holding on to her? Or was I just afraid of what letting go really meant? I closed my eyes. I needed to make a choice. One final choice. The cold wind pressed against my skin as I stood at the edge of my apartment balcony, gripping the letter in my hands. Rachel's letter. It had been sitting on my desk for days, untouched, unread. I had told myself I wouldn't open it, that I didn't care what she had to say anymore. But here I was, unable to let it go. I inhaled sharply, staring at the moonlit city below. Why now? Why after everything? I unfolded the letter with shaky hands and began to read. "Liam, I know I am the last person you want to hear from right now. I don't deserve your time, your patience, or your kindness. But I need you to read this. Please, I need you to know the truth. I can't live with myself if you never do. I hurt you in a way I can never take back. I betrayed everything we built, everything we dreamed of, and I have no excuse. The truth is, I let my past pull me back in. I let my insecurities tell me that I wasn't enough, that we weren't enough. That's my burden to bear, not yours. I want you to know that it was never because you weren't good enough. You were more than enough, Liam. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I threw it away. I lost myself in my fears and doubts. I convinced myself you didn't love me the same way anymore, and instead of talking to you, I made the worst mistake of my life. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve that, but I need you to know that every moment since that night, I have regretted it. I have replayed every second, every choice, every lie I told you, and it crushes me. I hate myself for what I did. I let Derek back into my life when I should have pushed him away. I let my emotions dictate my actions instead of trusting what we had. And for that, I will never forgive myself. I don't know if you'll ever speak to me again, but if you do, just know this: I still love you, Liam, and I always will. Rachel. I finished reading and clenched my jaw, my hands tightening around the paper. Still love me? After everything? Did she think those words could fix what she broke? I wanted to crumple the letter and toss it into the wind. I wanted to burn it, erase every word she had written. But something in me wouldn't let go. Something in me still cared. And I hated that. I closed my eyes, breathing in deep. Rachel had been my whole world once. My best friend, my partner, my future. Now, she was just a memory that refused to fade. I glanced at my phone on the table. Her number still saved, untouched since the divorce. A single text, a single call. That's all it would take. But was I ready for that? As if the universe had read my thoughts, my phone buzzed. Rachel. I stared at the screen, my pulse hammering in my ears. She had never called since the divorce. Not once. I could ignore it, pretend I never saw it. But instead, I did the one thing I told myself I wouldn't. I answered. "Liam," her voice cracked on the other end. "You read it, didn't you?" I said nothing. The silence between us was thick, suffocating. "I didn't expect you to call," I finally said, my voice cold. "Too, wasn't sure you'd pick up," she admitted. I clenched my jaw. "Then why did you call?" A long pause. Then she whispered, "Because I still love you." My stomach twisted. There it was again. Those words. Those meaningless, empty words. I exhaled sharply. "You don't get to say that, Rachel." "Liam, please." "No." I cut her off. "You don't get to miss me now. You don't get to regret it now. You made your choice." Her breath hitched. "I know, and I hate myself for it." Silence. I should have ended the call right then, but something inside me wanted answers. So I asked the question that had haunted me since the day I found out. "Did you ever love me, Rachel?" She let out a small sob. "More than anything." "Then why wasn't I enough?" I whispered. She broke. Completely. I could hear it in her voice. "I was scared," she said between shaky breaths. "I thought I was losing you. I thought you didn't look at me the same way anymore. And instead of talking to you, I destroyed us." I closed my eyes. Regret. That's what this was. But was regret enough? I heard her inhale deeply. "Liam, I know I don't deserve another chance, but if I asked for one, would you ever consider it?" My heart pounded in my chest. This was it. The moment. I could say yes. I could give in to the memories, the love that still lingered somewhere deep inside me. I could go back. Or I could finally let go. I let out a slow breath. My grip on the phone tightened before I said the only thing that felt right. "Rachel." I paused, and then I made my choice. "I can't," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I can't go back." Her breath hitched. "Liam." "Number," I exhaled. "I forgive you, but I'll never forget, and I can't live like that." Silence. Then a soft, broken, "I understand." I hung up. For the first time in years, I felt free. "I don't know," I admitted, "but I know I still love you." She let out a choked sob. "Liam, I'll do anything to fix this." I sighed, rubbing my forehead. "Then prove it." I set my phone down, staring at the city lights. Maybe this was closure. Or maybe it was just the beginning. Either way, I was finally moving forward.